kindergarten caped crusader, Miles Scott, just 20 months old when his family learned he was diagnosed with leukemia. Fast forward to age 5, and it was the Make-A-Wish Foundation to the rescue with some hero-sized hope. After his treatments were over and he was in remission, they'd fulfill his dream to be Bat Kid. Bat Kid! Bat Kid! Riding the Batmobile, fighting crime, even getting a key to the city of San Francisco, 20,000 people watching.
Thank you, Bat Kid!
Bat Kid even made an appearance right here on GMA. This morning, 5 years after Miles put on the mask, his family sent us these new photos. He's in 5th grade now and completely cancer-free. He's back to being an everyday kid. They consider Make-A-Wish Foundation part of the medicine that inspired him to stay strong and recover. Miles' mom is forever grateful. She says Make-A-Wish is an organization that shines a light on children and families when nothing else can.
Under hazy skies, thick with the smell of smoke, President Trump arrived in Northern California. His first stop, a neighborhood in Paradise. Governor Brown and Governor-elect Newsom and the president surveyed the charred landscape.
Nobody would have ever thought this could have happened. So the federal government is behind you. This is very sad to see it.
Scores losing their lives in the Camp Fire. Families there still searching for loved ones. More than 12,000 homes, buildings, and other structures burned to the ground. The president also visiting an operations center in nearby Chico. Thousands of fire personnel still battling the Camp Fire, just over 50% contained.
The men and women that are fighting this fire are incredible. Never seen anything like this in California. We've never seen anything like this here. It's like total devastation.
This visit coming in the wake of repeated criticism from the president of the state's forest management.
We're going to have safe forests, and that's happening as we speak.
Local authorities critical of President Trump, claiming nature and humans share the blame for wildfires, but forest management did not play a major role. The president making a second stop in Malibu, parts of the Woolsey fire zone. They're still off limits because of hazards like downed power lines and damaged roads.
This is the mugshot of an accused monster. Booked into jail last September for an alleged violent crime against his ex-girlfriend. According to police records, she accused 21-year-old Christopher Precopia of Cedar Park of forcing his way into her home in Temple, punching her in the face, and shoving her to the ground. In the process, knocking over a flower vase and other items in her living room. A scene captured in police photographs. She told detectives that Precopia pinned her arms behind her head and used a box cutter to slice an X just above her chest. In a handwritten statement to police, she wrote, "I could hear the slices being made." 2 days later, police drove to the Williamson County lumber yard where Christopher worked.
I'm just spun around, handcuffs put on,
and arrested him.
I had no idea who accused.
In small snapshots, it resembles a tailgate party. But taking a wider view, it's a scene filled with grief. A list of missing persons, evacuees here hoping their loved ones are found alive. And this injured man and his wife, like so many here, have been sleeping in their car in the Walmart parking lot for 1 week. How could you get comfortable in there?
Well, you do the best you can. I'm using blankets and a pad.
Camp Walmart added a tent city to its location on the southernmost part of the Walmart property on Forest Avenue. A nonprofit organization almost immediately began putting up these tents. As of 12 noon, I would estimate there are some 250. The generosity has been inspiring. Medical help and food, the suffering receiving whatever can be provided. How much is this costing your company?
Right now, over $1,000.
Yeah.
So we are a smaller car, but we'll feed as many people as we possibly can.
Free of charge.
free of charge.
But it's time for these evacuees to find a more suitable shelter, which is why the donation zone will be removed perhaps as early as tonight.
They're sending buses over, from what I hear from them, and that they're to go to a shelter, and they're handing out flyers.
Flyers that encourage evacuees to make their way to Gridley in Yuba City, where the Red Cross has set up shelters with beds, showers, and 3 square meals a day. In Chico, Jerry O'Lennon, KRCR News Channels.
Remove its colored cap and insert it into your Juul.
In the face of massive government pressure, e-cigarette company Juul will no longer sell some of its product on store shelves.
Don't give up. You'll find your perfect puff.
Removing popular flavors that critics say appeal to children and teens. Mango, fruit, cream, and cucumber will now only be available online. The company has long maintained they launched the flavors to help adults switch from regular cigarettes and don't want kids to use their product. This coming as the government prepares to crack down on the industry, with many local officials already taking action. GMA Investigates was right there as New York City's Department of Consumer Affairs recently sent an underage teen to local stores who tried to buy e-cigarette products.
How old are you? Huh? How old are you? 13. 21.
While some stores followed the law, others didn't. An inspector who we can't identify handed out multiple violations.
Store is getting a violation for selling to a person under 21, all right? This is nicotine, it's a tobacco product, you can't sell it, okay?
Out of 11 stores that sold e-cigarettes, DCA says nearly half sold to the youth inspector. At one location, we even see an electronic backstop, which reminds the clerk to ask for ID, but he seemed to ignore it. And the inspector later confronted him.
The system asked for ID?
We asked too, but today I don't know, ma'am, what I did.
Okay, all right.
Our Gio Benitez was there as officials in Suffolk County, New York, have also cracked down on sales to minors, with the focus on young people knowing the potential dangers.
There's this messaging that's been put out there that somehow these are completely safe, they're the alternative to cigarettes, so we don't have anything to worry about. But the fact of the matter is that we have kids that are utilizing these, and we're at risk at these kids and this generation becoming addicted to nicotine, and that's a serious health problem.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
And seeing and knowing what you've been through. Can you walk us through what you got from Will and what you were able to keep?
Yeah. On the cop cart.
It's one of the most unusual questions I've ever posed, asking a young man for a guided tour of the features of his face. 26-year-old Cameron Underwood suffered devastating injuries to his face 2 years ago from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
How do you prepare yourself for that as a mom, to see that?
Hoping that you're dreaming and you wake up and it was all a nightmare.
But Cam may have a second chance thanks to a miracle surgery and another mother, Sally Fisher, who lost her son Will and is about to make the most selfless gift to a family she doesn't even know.
I mean, from my standpoint, of course we would give organs, but a face, you know, the idea, you know, a face is people
so personal.
Yeah. And especially because Cameron suffered his injury at the age of 23, which was the age Willie was when he died. And I just thought, you know, he can give this kid a face.
And so last winter, 2 mothers coming together in love and hope to give one son another chance at life.
Welcome to New York. Thank God for you. I'm so happy. Where are you, Mom? Oh my God, thank you.
What did she say to you?
She's thanking us. Just so courageous, giving, you know, this gift to us and then thanking us.
Thank you for letting my son live on. You have no idea what this means. Oh, you have no idea what this means to us. What this means to my son.
I don't think I would have survived Will's death had it not been for Cameron and his family.
10 months later, one life reborn, and a mother seeing her lost son's face again.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad. And you.
Oh, you.
And you.
Oh, Sally, oh my goodness. You're the courageous one. Mm-mm. And giving my son the chance to be normal again. I mean, he looks so fantastic.
I know, you look beautiful.
It's just, I mean, I guess I'm a little biased. I think you're drop dead gorgeous.
I think he is too. Thank you.
This morning, the women behind that bombshell $70 million lawsuit filed against Dartmouth College are speaking out.
It was certainly a boys' club environment, so it was a highly sexualized culture.
The complaint alleges that for more than a decade, the Ivy League university ignored widespread sexual harassment by tenured professors Todd Heatherton, William Kelly, and Paul Whelan. It describes the men as forming a private predators club, with the women alleging that at times the professors groped students, conducted meetings at bars, and invited students to hot tub parties. And in March of 2015, the complaint states that William Kelly sexually assaulted Christina Rapuano.
I don't even remember waking up the next morning. And it was after that point that Bill Kelly had told me that we had sex.
The lawsuit claims this misconduct dates back to 2002. All 7 of the plaintiffs are considered highly accomplished scientists, current and former students of Dartmouth's Psychology and Brain Sciences Department, which the complaint compares to a 21st century animal house, a culture the women say the college was slow to address.
The action that they took was too late and too little.
In the fall, Dartmouth conducted an investigation and subsequently gave all 3 professors the option to resign or retire. In response to the lawsuit, Dartmouth told ABC News, as a result of the misconduct we found earlier this year by the 3 PBS faculty members, we took unprecedented steps toward revoking their tenure and terminating their employment.
It was the harrowing scene worthy of a double take.
There is a woman on an inflatable swan, her and a child, and they have drifted really, really far out into the water.
A mother and son stuck 2 miles into the Gulf of Mexico on, of all things, an inflatable swan. Tara Myers says the waters appeared calm when she and her son Brendan got on the inflatable, but she soon realized they had drifted into a rip current.
It was almost immediate that I realized that we were going out much quicker and much deeper than I had thought.
I started to freak out like maybe we'll never make it back. We're goners.
Luckily, fellow beachgoers saw they were in trouble and called 911.
Let's put it this way. The dolphins are closer to the shore than they are.
About a half hour later, a rescue team finally reached them.
Had tears of joy. They had no injuries, and we got them onto the boat without any problems.
Now, Tara says she and her son learned a valuable lesson and are incredibly grateful.
We'll never be able to repay those people for that. I don't know what would have happened if they didn't come.
The story sounded almost too good to be true. Johnny Bobbitt, a homeless man, gave Kate McClure, a total stranger, his last $20 for gas after she became stranded on an interstate in Philadelphia. McClure and her boyfriend Mark D'Amico said they went public about what happened because they wanted to help Bobbitt.
We were thinking, what if we started a GoFundMe for this guy just to get him, to get him off of the streets, even for a weekend.
The fund quickly grew to more than $400,000 with donations from more than 14,000 people.
It's like winning the lottery.
But the happy story began to crack when Bobbitt accused the couple of stealing his money, using it to fund lavish trips to Vegas, the Grand Canyon, and New York City. Local law enforcement zeroed in on the couple in recent months, raiding their home, towing away their car. An arrest seemed imminent. But this morning, a bombshell. According to a new report, authorities believe the entire tale was a ruse, conceived by all 3 of them in a get-rich-quick scheme. According to an NBC affiliate, McClure and D'Amico have turned themselves in, but Bobbitt is still at large. The three are expected to be charged with conspiracy and theft by deception for working together to concoct the story. D'Amico and McClure always denied spending Bobbitt's money themselves, saying they were managing the money for him because of his drug habit.
Impressively lifelike or just plain creepy. It's certainly hyper-realistic, enough to catch the eye of facial recognition tech developers. Osamu Kitagawa's company create the mask, which wouldn't look out of place in a sci-fi movie, by transferring high-quality photographs onto 3D prototypes. The rest of the process is secret. And they're certainly in demand, from filmmakers to organizations in Saudi Arabia. One Japanese automobile company used a mask showing someone asleep to improve their vehicle's ability to detect when a driver dozes off at the wheel. But that's not the only ambition for these lifelike masks.
I'd like them to be used for medical purposes, which will be possible once they can be made using soft materials. And as humanoid robots are being developed, I hope this will help developers to create more realistic robots and at a low cost.
Those are potential positives, but there are also potential problems. In the wrong hands, or rather on the wrong face, Kitagawa's face mask could pose a very realistic security risk.
Delay, deny, deflect. That's how the New York Times says Facebook handled scrutiny over data misuse and Russian election meddling. In a searing new report released Wednesday, the New York Times alleges Facebook went to great lengths to deflect blame and mask the extent of the problem of allowing a political data firm linked to President Trump's campaign to access the personal data of tens of millions of people. And when that didn't work and the price of Facebook shares dropped, the New York Times reports the company, quote, went on attack, hiring a Republican opposition firm to discredit critics and even spread negative stories about competitors like Apple and Google. Facebook has since cut ties with that firm. The expose also claims Facebook lobbied politicians on both sides of the aisle and repeatedly downplayed Russian activity and hacking on the platform leading up to the 2016 election. On a phone call with reporters Thursday, CEO Mark Zuckerberg defended Facebook.
Suggests that we weren't interested in knowing the truth, or that we wanted to hide what we knew, or that we tried to prevent investigations is simply untrue.
The social media giant put out a statement Thursday saying the New York Times report contained inaccuracies and, quote, while we still have a long way to go, we're proud of the progress we have made in fighting misinformation, removing bad content.
A royal treasure trove which belonged to the French Queen Marie Antoinette has fetched a record-breaking sum at auction.
This extraordinary natural pearl, of course.
Collectors snapped up the rare historic gems as bidding soared to a total of over $50 million at Sotheby's in Geneva on Wednesday. That's 10 times initial estimates and the highest amount ever for a royal collection. Most of the items that had belonged to the ill-fated monarch had not been seen in public for over 200 years. Marie Antoinette, who married the future King Louis XVI, secretly sent the jewels abroad in a wooden chest to her sister as she planned to escape from Paris. But the royal couple was arrested in 1792 when the French Revolution overthrew the monarchy and were executed by guillotine the following year. The top lot, this pearl and oval diamond pendant with a bow motif and diamond clasp.
32 million francs on my right with Andres, world record for a pearl. 32 million francs, selling it. So.
But only after 10 minutes of seesaw bidding. The new owner, victorious on the other end of the phone, chose to remain anonymous. Sotheby's auction